Hello there, and welcome back to Damn Good Movie Memories. I'm your host, Brian Davis. Since the last episode did so well, and we're getting great positive feedback, we decided to keep going. And since we're in the month of October, the month of Halloween, we decided to do a scary movie theme. Now, what we did was basically ask, what was your favorite scary movie, and then what scene or what movie did you see at such a young age that really kind of scarred you? We have a wide range of really, really fun answers, and I think you'll enjoy it. And so while I'm not a huge horror aficionado, I definitely have my opinions about things, but we have lots of good interviews about people that are way, way into horror, and you'll know when you hear them how much they love horror. My personal favorite types of horror movies are the original Universal type horror movies. From the monsters like Dracula and Frankenstein, the Wolfman, Invisible Man, everything like that. Universal was great at those. The movie that probably got me into that genre the most was Abbott and Costello meet Frankenstein. And while it's kind of a misnomer, it's really Abbott and Costello meet all of the classic monsters. So you get Bela Lugosi revising his role as Dracula. You get Glenn Strange playing Frankenstein's monster, and then you get Lon Chaney Jr. playing the Wolfman. And the coolest thing about, really, this was the first time I saw the transformation from human to wolf. And so while you see Lawrence Talbot, which is Lon Chaney Jr.'s character, transferring from man to wolf, it's really kind of visually stunning to watch, especially back in the 40s. Lon Chaney basically had to sit in a chair for 8 to 10 hours while they methodically put on this, wolf makeup, and then they filmed each section. I mean, could you imagine spending 8 hours for basically a 10 to 15 second shot? I mean, it's crazy to think about, that today, because it just never would happen. So that really started my love of monster movies, and not necessarily modern horror, but I absolutely adore the Universal horror films, and I have a box set with all of the old classics. And so you really can't go wrong with the original Dracula, the first 3 Frankenstein movies, and the first Wolfman, and actually the Claude Rains version of The Invisible Man. What's funny is, even though I do enjoy, The Mummy, and, of course, Boris Karloff played the original Mummy, all the sequels pretty much follow the same format the whole way through. Some minion of the Mummy comes back to release him, and he slowly and methodically kills people, even though he's slower than molasses, and magically he still catches everyone. But that's the fun of it. As for what scared me as a kid, there was 2 scenes in movies that aren't horror movies at all, and they're not necessarily scary, but there were certain scenes that definitely freaked me out. One being Raiders of the Lost Ark. So it's towards the end of the movie, and it's right when they open up the Ark. And the bad guy with glasses, he decides to look into the Ark when, of course, after you listen to Harrison Ford, you're not supposed to look directly into the Ark. But he does, because he's a bad guy. And his face basically melts off. And now it looks kind of corny, but at the time when I'm 6, 7, 8 years old, it was kind of crazy seeing rubbery flesh turned to blood, turned to skeleton. So that was kind of crazy. And the other one came from my parents' favorite movie, which was Romancing the Stone. There's a scene towards the end where Michael Douglas and Kathleen Turner are being held hostage by the bad guy in this one, and he wants to retrieve the stone. Well, Michael Douglas has the stone in his leg pocket, or down his leg, and it goes down to where his boot is, so you can see it. And the guy asks for it, and he tells him to choke on it, and so he flings it up in the air by kicking it up in the air. The bad guy catches his hand, but he happens to be standing over kind of a moat. And all of a sudden, before you know it, this crocodile jumps up and just snatches onto his arm and basically rips his arm off. Now it's not even that gore. I mean, it is, but it's not that bad. But just seeing that as a kid, a guy's arm get ripped off and the blood going everywhere, that was really creepy. So much so that I knew exactly when to turn away and exactly when to turn back and watch the film, just by the noises of what happened. So yeah, so that's what we're going to talk about in this episode. We're going to talk about horror movies. We're going to talk about scary scenes. We're going to talk about all of that.
this first movie, and I remember seeing was at a daytime pool party, and what did they play? Carrie. And so this was definitely not, it was probably first or second grade, and I just had to look it up. I didn't know when Carrie came out, so it was probably a couple years or a few years after Carrie came out, because Carrie came out in 1976. That was on. Scared the crap out of me. Not even the scary scenes. The scene that scared me is when she gets her period in the shower and all the girls start throwing pads at her. Scared me. It was so dark and creepy. The mother was super dark. It was just super, like, this lonesome, like, that scared me. And also the jump. Yeah, the pig's blood, that whole thing scared me. And I don't even know how I saw this, because there was like a pool party going on, but Carrie was also playing. It was so... Who chose to do this at their daughter's, like, 7th birthday party?
Was there an older brother involved or something?
No, it was like a mom. I remember the mom sitting... She was the oldest of many younger siblings. Mm-hmm. And the younger siblings were there, too. We were all... And there was a bunch of girls, like... second grade, I don't know what grade it was. But then I remember the movie that really traumatized me that I watched, illegally, because I wasn't allowed to watch R-rated movies, and we didn't have a VCR, but my friend had a VCR, and so that's where I watched all my first R-rated movies, but was Friday the 13th. The first one, and that...
With Kevin Bacon.
Yeah.
Yes.
That one where oh my God, so scary. Really, really traumatized me to death. And then, what a loser am I? She had her slumber party, and the slumber party plan was to go see Friday the 13th too. But I was the holdout. My mom had to tell the mom that Lindley can't go see Friday the 13th too. So of course this girl, I'm sure, hated me and resented me. And yeah, we're not friends to this day, I'm sure, because of this incident. So we did stay home and watch...
Carrie?
No, what is it? Night of the Living Dead. That's what we watched. We rented it and they watched it at VHS. Yeah. Instead of going to like the premiere of, again, we were like 10 when this came out. The premiere of Friday the 13th 2, we stayed home and watched Night of the Living Dead, which also scared me. So, I couldn't sleep. I slept with my light on like half my childhood. I was such a scaredy cat. So then, okay, my final story. I'm trying to speak quickly because the final one was the one I told you about. My boyfriend buying a VHS tape at the flea market. Didn't you hear this story? Yeah. He bought a unmarked VHS tape at the flea market. We pop it in. It's The Changeling! Again! Terrifyingly scary movie. But I tell you, yes, the boy haunting him with the wheelchair up at the stairs. Sometimes I'll be creeping through my house and think at the top of my stairs is a wheelchair. We also stayed at a bed and breakfast one time, and it was kind of antique-y themed, and in our room was an antique wheelchair. Why? I even have a picture of my friend sitting in the antique wheelchair. I'll show you. But anyway, that was mine. Yeah, sorry. So The Changeling, if you haven't seen it, rent it. Super scary, super freaky to not know what it is, and then pop that in and that be the movie. Terrifying.
So, do you enjoy horror movies at all now?
Yes, I do, but I also can't sleep, and I can't... Yes, my husband, lives with the fact that if we watch something scary, he will try to talk me into whatever, or something to watch, but then he's like, oh yeah, I know, I'll suffer as much as you do, because I'll be like, can you just get up and turn on the lights so I can get up and, do something in the middle of the night?
What is the last horror movie you can remember watching?
I remember vividly watching The Ring. I have another story about this. It was my due date. We went to go see The Ring. They all talked me into go seeing The Ring. I was due with my firstborn child, Taylo. I was pretty much, it was either my due date or right near my due date. So, birth was imminent. We go to see The Ring. I don't give birth for 2 weeks later. Do you know why? Because fight or flight. There's a fight or flight response your body has when you are, that delays you giving birth. So I was convinced that The Ring scared me so much that I was not able to, until I got over the movie, was I able to actually have the child. In fact, they had to induce me because he never was going to come out. So, yeah. So I blame my friend and my husband for making me go see The Ring right before I was due with my son.
So is fight or flight a real medical term?
No, it's a real thing. Yeah, if you're in the woods or you're a hunter-gatherer and there's a polar bear about to attack you, you got to get somewhere safe before you can have your baby, right? Or so I'm saying a polar bear. Why am I saying a polar bear? Something is about to attack you. A girl with really long hair coming out of a well is about to attack you. You will take off like animals. Yes, it's in nature and it's a natural thing. You will, obviously, you have to get somewhere safe to have your litter of
Of polar bears.
Of coyotes or polar bears or whatever. Yeah,
okay,
so,
cut it.
Yeah, you're going to have to edit that quite a bit, sorry.
Hi, my name's David.
All right, so what is your favorite horror movie?
Favorite?
It could be scary, horror, monster, whatever.
I need subgenre of kind of scary movie.
We did it broad just so everyone can come.
So like modern scary, supernatural scary.
You give me whatever you got. So yeah.
Recently, for new movies that are like creepy, whatever, I've been really into Babadook is really good. And Don't Breathe, which is still out in theaters right now. Or maybe not if you're listening to this later.
Yeah.
But
it'll be streaming then.
Yeah.
By then,
yeah. Both of those were super good and like pretty modern. Like 2014, I think, was Babadook, and then this year, 2016, was Don't Breathe.
Mm-hmm. So you'll pretty much see our horror movies every year. Like you're a fan. Okay.
I like the like kind of artsy fartsy ones like Babadook that are like small and indie. I like the big dumb ones like Conjuring and Insidious and all those the Blumhouse stuff, like all the paranormal activities. They're super stupid, but yeah, I'll watch any scary movie.
So classic slasher films, what would be your favorite?
If you're going just straight up slasher,
yeah, just slasher.
Like not like supernatural slasher, correct, like Freddy.
Yes. But if you want to throw them in the mix, you can. But I know you're more into this genre than I am, so.
Man, classic slasher. I guess classic. I think Jason was really interesting, especially just because of the franchise. He wasn't like the initial killer,
right?
And then
thanks for giving it away.
Yeah. And then as the series progressed, he got more and more supernatural.
Yes.
Same thing with like Michael Myers. He started out just a crazy escaped loon, and then he turned into like this otherworldly like creature.
The first two Halloween movies are great.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
So one of Winley's first movies, I think, was Friday the 13th, which totally scared her forever. So.
Well, yeah, I'm the '90s kid, so I grew up with the sexy teen slashers of like Scream and I Know What You Did Last Summer and all those.
Scream is great. I thought those.
Scream was my favorite movie in 6th grade.
Okay, make me feel old now. But so did you watch any of the remakes of like Halloween or those?
Yeah, I watched both of the. Oh yeah, I watched the. Yeah, sadly they remade. Friday the 13th. They remade Nightmare on Elm Street. They remade Halloween.
Rob Zombie did that.
Yeah, the Rob Zombie Halloween, the first Halloween, it was okay. The second one, they really went into like his backstory with like his family and stuff, and I just don't care about that. The remake, Texas Chainsaw, was actually really good. Yeah.
Because the original wasn't supposed to be.
Yeah. So the remake was actually pretty good.
Yeah. Did you ever watch like the real low budget, like I Spit on Your Grave type?
Yeah, I watched that stuff. Like the original, I Spit on Your Grave, and the original, what's the one? The Hills Have Eyes.
Oh yeah.
All those ones. And I like them for what they are, just like exploitation, like kind of slasher movies. I wouldn't say that they're good, but they're entertaining.
So you did see The Human Centipede?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
just the first one, not the 2 or 3.
You couldn't bring yourself. I can't believe they made 2 more, but
I kind of got the gist of what was happening with just the first one.
I can't believe that was a movie. It is insane how that was.
The first one, it was interesting.
Yeah.
But I mean, the more you think about it, it's pretty gross. But totally.
Everything's got to top. The next crazy movie, and I guess that was one of them. Like with all the Saw movies and all things like that.
Well, did you ever see Antichrist?
No.
I think it came out maybe a little bit before Human Centipede. Mm-hmm. It's a Lars von Trier movie, so it's like really messed up, and like kind of like out there. But yeah, there's a scene towards the end when like shit just starts going crazy and has to do with something on your body being bashed to smithereens with a rock, and it's really intense.
It's going in the queue.
Yeah, that definitely good for the kids.
So if you're way into horror movies, is this the month you're going to watch horror movies every day, just in tribute to Halloween, or you don't fall for that stuff?
I like to watch horror movies all the time.
Okay.
I go to Terror Tuesdays at the Alamo Draft House.
Okay.
So yeah, it's like $5 or $6, and they get just old scary movies on film. Like recently, they had like Suspiria, nice. And they're kind of funny about like they won't go with like the obvious like Friday the 13th Part 1 or Nightmare on Elm Street Part 1. They'll do like Nightmare 3, Dream Warriors, or
which by the way, theme song from Dawkins.
Is so good. Oh my
You seen the video with Patricia Arquette? I think she's a teenager.
3. Yeah,
she's the teenager in the video too.
Yeah.
So yes.
Yeah, that song is so good.
Yeah, I love Dawkins. They just reunited, by the way. So they're playing tour dates in Japan. I know we're getting off movies, but
wow.
Yeah. So what movie shouldn't you have seen as a kid that totally freaked you out that you probably should have waited till you were older?
Well, like you were saying, just like a scary scene in a movie that I wasn't really expecting.
Yeah.
Oh, actually, two come to mind. The first one when I was like really young was Large March in Pee Wee Herman's Big Adventure. Because it's just like out of nowhere. Like it's just, happy-go-lucky Pee Wee being stupid. And then all of a sudden this like really creepy ghost story. And that, of course now it's laughable. But like her clay face, like just like going crazy and stuff really freaked me out when I was a kid. I would like freak out. I'd have to like have my mom fast forward over it and stuff. But
that's awesome. So do you like any of the classic horror movies from like the 30s and 40s, like them?
I watched them with my grandparents growing up. Yeah, like the classic, like the black and white Frankenstein, Wolfman, all that stuff. Yeah. And then the grandparents were big Abbott Costello fans, so they'd watch all the crossovers of like Abbott Costello meet
Frankenstein, the
Mummy,
all
those.
All those.
So those were kind of cool because it was also like kind of watching something scary, but not really at all.
It's kind of like a little ease it into the So. Cool. Well, thank you, David.
Yeah.
Hello.
Why don't you want to talk to me?
Who is this?
You tell me your name, I'll tell you mine.
I don't think so.
What's that noise?
Popcorn.
You making popcorn?
Uh-huh.
I only eat popcorn at the movies.
Well, I'm getting ready to watch a video.
Really? What?
Oh, just some scary movie.
You like scary movies?
Uh-huh.
What's your favorite scary movie?
I don't know.
You have to have a favorite. What comes to mind?
Halloween. You know, the one with the guy in the white mask who walks around and stalks babysitters.
Yeah.
What's yours?
Guess.
Nightmare on Elm Street.
Is that the one where the guy had knives for fingers?
Yeah, Freddy Krueger.
Freddy, that's right. I like that movie. It was scary.
Well, the first one was, but the rest sucked.
So, you got a boyfriend?
Why? You want to ask me out on a date?
Maybe. Do you have a boyfriend?
No.
You never told me your name.
Why do you want to know my name?
I want to know who I'm looking at.
Okay, so I'm with Terry. So Terry, what is your favorite horror movie or scary movie?
My favorite. I don't know if they're my favorite, but I remember there's some movies that scare me so much I have never ever watched it again, and that was Candyman. So I have tried to block it out, so I actually don't remember the plot. So I actually had to look it up to remember what the plot was, and I read the Wikipedia up to the point where you had to repeat Candyman like 5 times or something, and something happens, and I stopped reading.
So what year do you think this came out, or what year did you see it?
I saw it in actually a movie theater, probably like high school or college.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Candyman. That almost sounds like they ripped off Beetlejuice.
That's right,
Yeah.
I could say Beetlejuice, but I would not say the other.
Okay, so what scary movie should you probably not have seen as a young kid that you regret seeing?
So there was some suspense, more of like suspense movie, The Jaws, you know. So I probably should have watched it when I'm a little older, because I was very afraid of the water, afraid of sharks. It's like, oh, there's no sharks. But yeah, it was more of a suspense.
Right.
Yeah.
So my dad once, so I asked him, should I watch Jaws? Would Jaws be a good movie? He's like, well, you'll never go swimming again in the ocean? I'm thinking to myself, well, I never go swimming in the ocean. He's like, okay, go watch Jaws. But that is, I mean, I would assume that and like Psycho, so like the shower scene. And,
Psycho, very scary. Nightmare on Elm Street.
Oh yeah. Yeah, those are good. So what is the last horror movie you think you watched?
So I haven't watched any in a long time because I didn't want to, put myself in that situation and be really scared. But I did watch Train to Busan last week, or
so what's
a couple
that about?
Weeks ago. It's a Korean zombie movie.
Really?
So it's sort of like The Walking Dead. It was more entertaining than scary. So I choose not to watch too scary stuff. But I think what scares me the most are actually horror movies that mess with your mind more than like things jumping out.
So the psychological horror.
The psychological horror is more scary because it lingers. You keep thinking about it.
That's right.
Versus the other ones where people jump out, you'd be like, yeah, that just,
Those are cliche at this point. Okay. Yeah. So what's the last horror movie that you think you saw in the theater? Can you remember that?
Probably was Candyman.
Okay. So Candyman ruined you forever.
It ruined me forever, yes.
Okay. Well, I'm going to have to find Candyman clips now. I can't wait to do this. Thank you so much, Terry.
Okay, thank you, Brian.
Do you believe in me?
Keep away from me!
I have the child. Allow me to take you, or he will die in your place. Your disbelief destroyed the faith of my congregation. Without them, I am nothing. So I was obliged to come. And now, I must kill you. Your death will be a tale to frighten children, to make lovers cling closer in their rapture. Come with me, and be immortal.
All right, hey, I'm Daniel. My favorite horror movie was a Spanish language one I think it was called El Orfanato. I watched it back when I was in 10th grade, so not. I'm still very young, so back I think it was
2 years ago. So, no,
no, it was I think it was 2009.
Okay.
I think it was. I'm actually really not a fan of horror movies, and the reason why I ended up watching El Orfanato was because I was with a bunch of friends and we were just hanging out. And the reason why I ended up really liking it is because the reason why I don't like horror movies is because of the jump scares and all the random stuff that they do to get you to,
the
freak
cliche
out.
stuff.
Yeah. And El Orfanato did a very good job of having a lot of suspense without having a single jump scare in the entire movie.
So you saw it in the theater, or did you?
No, it was just in a friend's house.
Okay, and so they had already seen it before, or you guys hadn't seen it before?
I don't remember. I don't think many of us had seen it before.
Okay. So, wow, that's a good one. I think you're going to be the only one that said that. Okay, so what movie at a young age, scary movie, shouldn't you have seen, but you had to watch it anyway?
I really don't remember any of those. I'll give you one, though. So the scariest movie that I can remember from my childhood was not actually a horror film.
Okay,
I think it was Gladiator. Because I was in 4th or 5th grade, and just the sheer amount of violence freaked me out. And I remember having nightmares of just blood splattering or something as a result of watching that movie.
Yeah, God. It's a great movie, though. So have you watched it since?
No, I haven't.
Really? So it did.
I should go back and watch it at some point.
Yeah.
But that was pretty traumatic for 9-year-old me.
I don't like to call it a horror movie because I don't really know the the horror genre is kind of like a historical genre.
Sure. Or scary movie.
Scary movie. Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a thriller, and it's kind of cheesy because it's like thriller light, but it's The Village by M. Night Shyamalan. Or whatever his name is.
That's how I pronounce it as well. Yes. We just call him M in my house, so yes.
I just loved it. I think I like movies that take inspiration from like actual scary things.
Yeah.
And, the idea of a cult entrapping its members in the center of a park.
It's super creepy.
And then, like, deliberately killing people to keep them from leaving is pretty crazy to think about because there are, like, communities that isolate themselves. Mm-hmm. And, I mean, we obviously don't know the lengths they go to keep their members isolated. But it was also one of the first movies that I was honestly surprised by the end. Mm-hmm. Like, honestly surprised at the twist.
So you hadn't seen his films prior?
I had. I saw The Sixth Sense. Mm-hmm. Ooh, that was scary. Which is scary, right? I loved it. Yeah. That was like my first, like, I can get into scary movies.
Mm-hmm. And Unbreakable, I think, was next.
I don't know if I saw that.
Okay.
But I saw The Village, and then I was like, I love this guy. Like, he makes such interesting movies. And then I went and saw The Girl in the Water, which is probably the worst movie I've ever seen in my entire life. I couldn't even make it through the first 20 minutes. So I was like, fuck this.
That was Ron Howard. It's Ron Howard's daughter?
Yes.
Right?
So Bryce Dallas Howard was in The Village.
Yes.
She was great in The Village.
So The Girl in the Water was scary in a different way for you.
It wasn't scary. I honestly could not get into it. Like, I wasn't following the plot. I wasn't invested in the story. Mm-hmm. I actually turned it off. It's the only movie I've ever turned off. I'm super easy to entertain.
Okay. And I think Signs was either before or after that.
Signs was in there, and I liked Signs. Willie's like,
horrible. I know. You'll have your turn when you come in. Yes. No, you can talk.
I did not like Signs as much. Okay. I mean, I liked it when I first saw it. I was younger. I think the reason why these movies were good to me was because I was like 11.
Definitely.
So my view of like what a good movie was obviously like
by the way, that will be another topic. So movies that we loved as kids that just don't hold up.
Yeah, I don't think any of these would hold up. Maybe The Village. Because thematically I think it's interesting.
So you haven't seen it since, or have you?
I saw it once, maybe like a year later.
Okay.
So I was only like 11, 12, 13.
And what movie shouldn't you have seen at a young age?
This.
That you decided
I think I told this story once, but my parents always let me watch our movies. They were totally fine with it because their theory was if you see something you don't like, it's your problem. And this movie, I wasn't originally going to sneak out of my bedroom and watch with them, but I was super intrigued. It was Ransom, the 96 Mel Gibson thriller. I was 6 or 7 years old, so 5 maybe, and I was like super intrigued. And I snuck out of my room and I was watching it, and like I thought my parents didn't see me watching it with them, but of course they were like right there. And the kid gets freaking kidnapped and then taken and gets like gagged and bound in this back of a truck, and I'm 5 and I could not sleep for probably like 2 months. Like I was scarred. And I couldn't like leave my parents if we went out. I'd be like, "No, Mom, hold my hand." Like terrified.
I think you should have stuck with Free Willy. I think that was a good.
Free Willy was my jam. Mm-hmm. I had grown out of it at that point. Okay. A couple of years later. But I would gladly return to Free Willy post Ransom apocalypse.
I did see Ransom in the theater. And
you did?
It was entertaining. Yeah, it was entertaining.
I'm glad you liked it.
I think I might have been 20, and so that was yes.
Yeah, 5 is too young, I think. And my parents were so cool and like didn't care what I saw, but they felt bad for that. I think like. Maybe you should go back to sleep. Don't watch this child get kidnapped. Give me
back my son! Give me back my son!
So my favorite horror movie, if you could call it a favorite horror movie, is Stephen King's It. I remember as a kid, my dad would collect movies. He had a whole bunch of movies, Clint Eastwood movies and just cowboy movies. And then one day I just came across this movie called It with a scary clown in the front, and I said, "Oh, let's watch this. What is this about?" Mind you, at the time,
I didn't understand English. This was when I was still living in Mexico. The movie was in English, and I played it, and I just couldn't stop watching it. It's a 2 VHS movie. So after the first half ended, I was like, "What the hell is going on? What's gonna happen next?" So I popped in the second one. So the movie's about a group of kids who have this encounter with a creepy clown who goes around eating the souls of children or something like that. Just kids start disappearing out of nowhere. And the protagonist, one of the main characters, his little brother gets snatched by this evil clown. And so him and his friends get together and they vow to vanquish this demonic clown character.
Was this a book? It was a book first, right?
Yeah.
So you didn't read the book, obviously.
I never read the book.
Did you ever go back and read the book?
I have never read the book.
Come on, now you got to read the book now.
Are you gonna watch the remake?
I just heard this morning that there's going to be a remake coming out next year.
Yeah, I think they're filming it now.
But yeah, it just, as a kid, it was kind of one of those things you would use to scare your little siblings, like, oh, they all float down here, and they just quote the movie randomly.
So have you seen any other Stephen King movies?
I'm pretty sure I have. I think he also wrote Stand By Me.
Yeah.
There's
not all of them are horror,
not all of them are horror movies, but I'm pretty sure I've seen more than one.
Okay. So Lindley's was Carrie. That just freaked the hell out of me.
Yeah.
Actually, so we do a movie Friday sometimes here, and Christine was on. That's a great one about the killer car. He did 2 movies in. Remember, I think it was Maximum Overdrive.
Maximum Overdrive was one that he did.
Yes.
And it's universally panned.
Yeah.
But he blames cocaine for that movie. Actually, he says that he was so high when he was directing it because it was the first movie that he took complete control over to write, direct, all that stuff.
Yeah.
He blames cocaine.
Well, cocaine's a hell of a drug.
Yeah.
So the good thing is the soundtrack, because AC/DC does the whole soundtrack.
That's
in
right.
that. So yeah, so there's goodness out of that. Okay, so what is the movie as a kid that you saw that you absolutely shouldn't have seen that just kind of scarred you for a while?
This is actually a movie in Spanish with a popular Mexican singer, and it's a movie about a group of people who go camping out in the woods, and there's this just scary doll. It doesn't like run and chase after people, but it's just really creepy, and it turns its head 360, and it's just like one of those movies that you're like, I don't want to watch this again. This is just too like it was scary because the doll would just pop out of nowhere. Like it would show, the camera would show it in one position, and then would go back to the characters, and then when it comes back, it's it's moved and it's in another place.
It was a doll or a doll?
It's a doll.
Doll.
Okay.
Yeah.
Which of course reminds us of Child's Play. And have you seen Child's Play?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but it's not. It doesn't move, so you don't see the doll moving, so you're kind of just left figuring out how is this inanimate object killing all these people.
So you don't remember what it was called?
I don't remember what it's called.
We'll have to do some crack research about
do
this.
Do you hate dolls as much as you hate clowns? Or
The ceramic type dolls that are just kind of very with the creepy eyes that you lay them down and their eyes closed.
Yeah.
Those I try to stay away from them as much as I can.
What about Barbie dolls?
Oh, Barbie.
Okay, that's good.
We used to rip off their arms and stick them to my action
That's
figures.
a whole other episode, Mikhail. Well, thank you. We'll end on that note.
All right.
I, Georgie, am Pennywise the Dancing Clown. You are Georgie. So now we know each other.
I gotta go.
Go without this.
My phone!
And there's cotton candy and fries and all sorts of surprises down here. And balloons, too. All colors.
Do they float?
Oh, yes. They float, Georgie. They float. And when you're down here with me, you float too!
All right, so we're here with Danielle, who is a big scary movie fan.
Yes.
Okay, so what is your favorite scary movie?
I think it's The Exorcist, even because it's the scariest movie I ever saw. And I saw the first time when I was 10 years old. I was sneaking out of my room to watch it, like the living room, the TV in the living room, because my dad was watching. And I was terrified, but I couldn't leave because I was fascinated at the same time.
So did he let you watch it?
No,
oh, so
no one knew I was here.
So if he knew you were watching it, you would have gotten in trouble.
He would never allow me to watch that.
So what was the scariest scene that you remember from that?
Oh my God, let me see. I think it's when she has the voice of the father's name, and then she changed everything.
That's still scary.
I cannot forget.
Well, that kind of stole my question. So was that the movie that you wish you hadn't seen so young? That you were too young to see it, basically?
No, I survived. I love
So it didn't
horror.
scare you? Well, like,
No.
how did you react after you saw it at such a young age? How old were you when you saw it?
10 years
Okay,
old.
so...
I couldn't sleep.
So maybe it would have been better off if you had waited?
I don't know. I always like those, the movies or, those games with the cups that you, like, pretend there's a spirit. You never did that?
Oh, the Ouija board?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I was always into this stuff.
Maybe I shouldn't have interviewed you. Maybe this podcast will be cursed now.
So, yeah, that was a very good movie because still, if I watch today, I'm going to have the chills. It will, like, not scare me as much, but
it still holds up.
It is.
Okay, so Danielle's watching pretty much a horror movie every night through October.
Yes.
Is that true? Okay.
Yes.
So what have you watched so far? Can you remember?
I watched The Ring again. I watched... Which one? I'm trying to remember my Netflix profile because they're the recent watched movie. I watched The Ring. I watched The Shining, which is not horror really.
No, but
it's
it's
more
scary.
like the psychological thriller, I guess. I watched Babadook, which I love it. And I watched the Blair Witch Project.
So the original.
It's still scaring me, that movie.
Yeah?
Yes. That was the one that traumatized me when I was 19.
So you're going to watch every day. And do you do this every October?
Yes.
That's funny. So you only do this in October, but you watch scary movies?
No, I watch a scary movie all the time. But in October, I watch every day until Halloween. Every night.
Okay, so what's your favorite newer scary movie that you've seen recently?
I don't know. Let me see. There's one that is not that new, but I really like it. It is
Gothica?
Yes.
Okay.
I like that movie.
Yeah?
Yes. I watched it like a few months ago for the first time. I didn't watch it before because I thought, that's so stupid, but I like it.
So you like the more psychological horror movies. You're not into the slasher films like...
No.
Okay.
I that's just stupid. I like because the other ones are not, right? But I like more the haunting, like Poltergeist.
Sure.
And
yeah. What do you like Poltergeist?
Yes,
okay.
I watch it.
That's another early one.
Your mother sits here with his cat. Would you like to leave a message? I see that she gets it. If that's true, then you must know my mother's maiden name. What is it? What is it?
Hi, I'm Diane Koo. My favorite horror movie is The Possession.
Okay.
It's a really interesting movie because usually horror movies involve Catholic traditions and stories and things, but in The Possession they're dealing with Jewish traditions.
So what year did The Possession come out?
I don't know.
You didn't do research before coming in here? No, I'm kidding.
I was watching trailers. Actually,
okay, this is what Winley's for. So Winley will do
right now.
Our super producer Winley will look up when
2012.
Okay.
Recent. Is that right?
That sounds about right.
That sounds right. Okay, got it.
So did you see it in the theater, or was this a streaming? Or?
It was on. I think it was on Netflix.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so what was the first horror movie or scary movie you can remember that at a young age that you shouldn't have seen, basically, that totally scared you, and you should wait until you're older? Can you think of one like that?
I don't really remember. It was probably some slasher film, like Nightmare on Elm Street or something. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So was it? Could you barely watch it, or could you get through the whole film, or how was it for you?
I think I started watching it, and then I don't know, some people were running down a street, and then I just decided I should probably stop watching.
See, you're smart. Most people would be like, I gotta keep watching and everything. Okay, so I have The Possession. What was the first horror movie you can really remember watching? So it doesn't have to be Nightmare on Elm Street.
Oh, okay. Actually, it was a classic, The Exorcist.
Oh, okay. So, and then what about that? Did you like, and have you watched it since?
Oh, well, I actually thought it was funny.
Really?
Yeah.
So what did you find funny about The Exorcist?
Just the fact that her head spun around and that she was throwing up
the projectile vomit.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think we're going to hear The Exorcist a lot. So, anyway, thank you, Diane.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Frank Filippini.
All right. So, what's your favorite horror movie?
I'm not a big horror movie genre, but I would pick probably The Exorcist and The Omen.
Okay. The original Omen.
The original Omen and the original Exorcist.
Okay.
The green pea soup and the head being twisted was pretty cool to see as a kid. And then Damien is just more of a Exorcist religious too, but more of the blunt scenes in Damien around the woman hanging herself and the spear through on the fence, the father on the fence, and any guy named Damien, I turn and run immediately to this day. So,
well, we interviewed Diane, and she was saying the interesting thing about horror films. There's a lot of religious aspects in a lot of these horror films, and Damien definitely, and actually The Exorcist too. I mean, those whole scenes.
Yeah, being raised Catholic, seeing these is kind of
scary.
Very scary.
So, was there any movie that you saw at a young age that you shouldn't have seen that totally scared you off for a long time?
It wasn't a movie at a young age, but the scene that comes to mind, if I only watched this movie once, is the opening scene of Saving Private Ryan where they're raiding Normandy. I had nightmares for 2 weeks.
Yeah, that's brutal.
I will never watch that again.
That is supposedly like one of the goriest, interests.
It's really bad and just like, whoa.
Yeah.
Those guys, the greatest generation indeed.
Well, and it's because it's so real. Horror movies, you're like, it's not really real, but this actually happened.
This actually happened.
Yeah. Oh, man. So what's the last horror movie you can remember watching?
I don't watch them anymore. I don't. I mean, I talk about them, but... Exorcist and Damien will probably... I go back to those. Those are probably the ones. And the original Tales from the Crypt before that, which is a British movie.
I think The Godfather 3 qualifies.
Nice. Yeah, Godfather 3 qualifies as a horror movie. For sure.
All right, that's all I got. Thanks, Frank.
Thanks, Brian.
Was it an accident? Was it murder? Was it a coincidence? Or was it an omen?
Look at me, Damien. It's all for you.
20th Century Fox presents a film of psychological suspense about an occurrence of earth-shaking importance. Gregory Peck, Lee Remick, The Omen.
I was at the hospital, Mr. Thorne, the night your son was born. I saw its mother.
I have fears. I've said fears.
What kind of fears?
Its mother, Mr. Thorne.
You saw my wife.
Its mother.
What is it you're trying to say?
His mother was a...
All right, so we're here with Josephine.
Hello.
And you might have remembered Josephine from the last episode where her and Malin talked about their favorite first movies and Sound of Music and all that fun stuff. So this time we're going to go the exact opposite of Sound of Music.
The opposite of joy.
Yeah. Well, some people really enjoy horror movies and scary movies. So what is your favorite scary / horror movie?
I'm not a huge horror movie person just because I'm just too scared. But I would say the scariest movie that I've ever seen
that I will like never watch again. It's like a B-C movie called Cube. Have you heard of it?
No.
Some hardcore movie people that I've met have been like, oh yeah, I know that movie, and it's. Should I talk about it or?
Absolutely, I want to hear all about this. And when did it come out? Do you remember?
It's maybe like mid-90s.
Okay.
But it's this. It's like I think like 6 or 7 strangers. They're in this like enclosed space, and all they know is that they can hear things above, below, on the side. So basically, they're in a moving cube, and this cube is moving in a cube-like formation, and they don't know how they got there. They don't know how they're connected, but they have to somehow like get out. They can't just stay in, and they know that like each room is booby trapped. I guess a little bit like Saw, but it just freaked me out because they all had no idea how they got there. You know, it's like they seem like nice people, but it ends up being more of a psychological thriller as well.
And those seem to be always the scariest. And the cliched slasher, you know what's going to happen, the jump scenes.
Yeah.
So did you see this? Did you rent this, or was this did you actually see this in the theater?
No, I rented it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So who recommended this? And since you're not a big horror fan.
No, I remember just going to the video store and being like, oh, that sounds interesting. Sounds really like tense, and I didn't think it was going to be scary at all, but it just like really freaked me out. And then,
did you ever rewatch it, or was it one and done?
Oh no, because it just freaked me out. Like, I couldn't sleep. And what else? I remember I went to I'm a librarian. I went to a reference librarian convention, and I was just kind of standing around, and someone gave me this reference book full of horror movies. So when things were slow, I would just kind of like read through the synopsis of horror movies, and even that just got to me. Like The Omen.
Oh, yeah. You've seen the original Omen, right?
No. All I want to do is read the synopsis because I feel like it's less scary, but it still freaks me out.
It is anyone named Damien run away from, but you have to see the original because it's just for Gregory Peck. Gregory Peck's amazing. Yeah, so it's worth it for that.
Yeah, what else is really scary? Yeah, I mean, I just those movies that kind of like get into your brain of like, or any movie that's kind of open-ended, like it's not really resolved. There was another movie with like Denzel Washington and like John Goodman. This was like years back where like the devil was like possessing people, and he was like, you know what I mean? If he touched you, the devil could get going you and like make you do all sorts of crazy shit. And it was just like one of the open-ended movies where you're just like, oh, you know, yeah.
What was was it the Devil's Advocate or something like that? The one with Pacino?
With Al Pacino where he's screaming. Yeah.
I just remember Keanu ruining it. But De Niro was great, and I think it was...
Or Al Pacino.
Yes, Al Pacino. that was an easy mistake. Pacino was amazing, and the female lead...
Charlize.
Yes, this is why I have you. See, that might have been one of her first movies. At least it was the first movie I remember seeing her in.
Yeah.
That movie would have been so much better without Keanu. I don't know.
Yeah, although, I mean, I keep hearing how he's very underrated.
Yeah.
I felt like even in, like, The Matrix, I thought he was perfect for it because he wasn't sure what was going on.
Right.
You know what I mean? So he was really good. Like
everything's whoa. Yeah.
Everything's hello?
Yeah. I must admit, I do love Point Break, the original Point Break, so he was fine.
Did you see John Wick?
No, I've only heard good things about it. I should see it.
It's a pretty good, solid movie.
Okay.
Really good character actors that pop up in it. Yeah.
I should see. Okay, was there any scary movie, scary scene that you saw as a kid that you regretted seeing?
Probably it. Yeah. I think probably a lot of people have said that. It's just that flash of Timur going, hey. It's just like, oh God. Like I remember I was at my parents' friend's house, and like after we saw that, they were like, could you go down to the basement and get something? And I was like, no.
Forget it.
Yeah.
So you've heard about all the stories recently about all the creepy clowns in the high schools?
I probably avoid clicking anything that mentions a clown.
I don't know how clowns became so creepy. They never used to bother me as a kid. I don't know. Maybe it was because of it, or maybe if you grew up during the whole John Wayne Gacy thing, like that, he kind of turned clowns into these evil things, but yeah.
Oh, they are evil. They are.
All right, we'll do an episode just on clowns and why they are evil. So great, thank you so much, Josephine.
Yeah.
Okay, we have the return of Josephine. So what did you just remember?
The one that I remembered is my very, very first David Lynch movie which was Lost Highway.
Oh, yeah.
Great movie. Totally unprepared for how creepy and just like it's like I think he wants to unsettle you,
Sure.
and it's just I remember I saw it with this guy friend of mine, and it was one of those situations where it was like we weren't really sure what our status was, and I wanted to keep it platonic, but after the movie I was like, could you walk me up to my
Everything
door?
went out the door once that.
Yeah. Thank you, Dave.
So did you ever see Blue Velvet?
Never seen Blue Velvet, but I did get up the nerve to watch Mulholland Drive.
Yeah, that's a great movie.
A great movie. Also freaked me out.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know why. It's like he has to do something that just completely unsettles you and just kind of makes you doubt, like, okay, what's going on? And
to me, those are the scariest movies because those seem more real than the other stuff.
Yeah.
So did you ever watch Twin Peaks or?
I did see Twin Peaks.
So, yeah.
And it's the whole like Bob thing. It's like being possessed. It's the whole like creepy voice, and it's just yeah.
Those are good.
I mean, I guess he's not known for doing horror, but I find his movies scary, and I would watch them again.
Sure.
I don't really consider them horror, even though they do freak me out.
Yeah.
But Lost Highway,
I'm glad we returned back to this episode.
Has anyone said David Lynch or?
No, you're the first. So, congratulations, good job. Okay, so I'm here with Samantha, who has graciously agreed to be on this podcast, which I'm very happy about.
Hello.
All right, there she is. Okay, so what is your favorite horror movie or scary movie?
I was thinking about this a lot. And
Which I appreciate, by the way.
I was trying. I couldn't really come up with a favorite of all time. I think one that I've probably seen the most was The Shining.
Okay.
But I think like everyone says The Shining's one of their top favorites.
So what about The Shining has lasted for you? And when's the last time you actually saw it?
I've seen it all the way through probably a few times, maybe a couple years ago the last time I saw it, but it always comes up on TV.
Right.
And I'll watch it because I like the cinematography and the style. That's kind of what I look for in movies.
Okay.
So, yeah, and it's creepy without being like, I don't like jump scares.
Right.
So I like more creepy, like psychological horror type things, and where you don't really know what's going on.
Right. So it's not as cliche as the other ones. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of slashers. I think they're silly or funny.
There goes my question. Thanks a lot, Samantha. Okay, so how old do you think you were when you first saw The Shining?
I don't know. Maybe I have a horrible memory.
Okay.
So maybe like.
You know the podcast is called Damn Good
I know,
Movie Memories.
Exactly.
So yeah.
Exactly. I have the worst memory ever. I don't know, maybe like early teens.
Okay.
Yeah, and then I always would come back to it. But yeah, and I think going back to your question about favorite movies, I think the movie that stuck with me that I saw recently that I enjoyed was The Witch.
Okay.
It came out last year or early this year. It was another one where. Have you seen that?
I haven't.
Yeah.
I haven't.
No, the director, I think this is his first movie ever, and it premiered at Sundance, and there was like a lot of hype around it. And it was, I think, marketed as a horror movie, but so a lot of I remember when it came out, the public kind of was like, wait, this isn't really a traditional horror movie. It's more about like these people, it's based during like the early Pilgrim times.
Okay, yeah.
So it's these people living out in the middle of nowhere, like before America was even a real colony, and it's kind of the origins of like the witch, and
that's cool.
Before the Salem witch trials and all that, and so this family moves outside of the settlement, which I think is like Plymouth or Jamestown or something, and they start thinking that maybe something's going on, and the daughter is potentially a witch. All this creepy stuff starts happening, and you never really get a resolution.
So do you think they'll make a sequel out of it because there was no?
I don't think so. It was more of kind of like an artsy.
So did you see this in the theater or was this streaming?
I saw it in theater.
Okay, so there was enough hype around it that you wanted to go see it.
Yeah, I actually wanted to see it. I went to TIFF last year.
Oh, cool.
And it was premiering there, but I missed it, and I was really bummed. But it ended up doing well enough that it was picked up in theaters.
Awesome.
So I recommend it. Yeah.
Okay, so let's see. What was the movie that you saw as a kid that scared the hell out of you, but you probably should have waited to see it? Or was there any scene that scared you of certain movies?
Okay, so I do have an answer for this.
So this is a good memory, by the way.
Yeah,
so good
no,
job.
because I was like thinking, because I didn't really watch a lot of scary movies when I was little.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like the oldest child, so no one was like introducing me to anything.
Oh, okay.
But when I saw The Wizard of Oz for the first time, it killed me.
Really?
I was terrified.
What about it?
The little monkey creatures.
Really?
The flying monkeys.
That's awesome.
And the witch and all of that. I think because it's so old, it seems there's no like really effects or anything.
Right.
So they're just these weird kind of realistic but not creatures. Yeah. And just like the makeup, and I was freaked out, and I don't really remember. My family would make fun of me later, and they're like, "It's so crazy, like you could never get through the movie."
So can you get through the movie now?
Yeah, I like it. I went and watched it when I was older, and I was like, "These are just silly little puppets or whatever."
That's
they
a great
were.
story because you wouldn't even think about that.
No,
because it was funny. So in the first episode, my mom's first movie was Wizard of Oz, and so she absolutely loved it. And so everyone's different.
Yeah, I was entirely creeped out. Not only like just the monkeys, and then all of the characters and the setting, and it was weird to me. So, yeah.
There is something about older movies that kind of I don't know. There's a certain maybe it was more real, like the original Nosferatu, the silent movie. That guy was super creepy looking. Even the early Dracula movies, that just because there's no score or anything behind it. It's just them.
Yeah,
so.
There's no like. I think some people think they're cheesy, but they're. I think the realism is something that makes them creepier.
Exactly.
Hello, Daddy. Come and play with us. Come and play with us, Daddy. Forever and ever and ever.
All right, so I'm here with Celine, who was gracious enough to be on the first podcast, and she needed to have even more interviews, so that's why she's on the second one. So this time we're going to talk about horror film. So what is your favorite horror or scary film?
That's tough. I don't really watch a lot of horror, but I did, when I was a kid, got sucked into watching the blood and gore type horror movies with friends, but I never really found those that scary. Like, they never really bothered me, but like as an adult, some of the more psychological horror.
Yeah.
Two. Can I say two?
You can say as many as you want.
Okay, this
is your show now, so this is
my show.
Yeah.
The first one that really freaked me out, and I think it's because of where I was in life, was the Blair Witch Project, because that was all in your imagination. You never even saw the supposed Blair Witch, right? And at the time, that was 1999. I was at that summer when it came out. I was working in New Hampshire with kids in a summer program in the woods.
Oh, God. Yeah.
So, we would have to walk around in the woods at night to get from place to place, and that movie seriously messed with my head that summer.
So was that
scary.
Was that a one and done? Did you see it again after that? Or?
I never saw it again.
Okay,
yeah.
that was enough.
And we saw it in the theater, so it was
even
creepy. It was creepy.
Yeah.
And then we went back to the woods. So.
Of course.
Yeah, so that one, and then I really like some of the Spanish stuff that came out, especially The Orphanage, which was, to me, that was creepy. That little kid and everything, That I like those movies that really mess with your mind,
That's, I think, been the common theme here. A lot of people like the psychological
yeah.
side of it. Not the. I mean, slasher's fun, but it's cliche at this point.
Right.
So you get what you get. But,
right.
Okay, so what movie did you see at a young age, or what scene like really traumatized you? It doesn't have to be a scary movie that you probably shouldn't have watched at such a young age.
Good question.
Well, thank you.
A couple of them actually. There was like was it Damien the Omen?
Yeah, the original one with Gregory Peck.
Some scene where some guy gets decapitated, and I can't remember how old I was even. I remember that one being disturbing. And then there was this movie that came out, I can't remember when, and I didn't see the whole thing because it was too scary. I think like I saw scenes from it, and it was called Scanners.
Oh yeah, of course.
Yeah, and that one was that was very disturbing. Yeah, that's not something that I should have seen at a young age. Oh, and The Shining.
Oh, yeah.
Shining is not something I should have seen at a young age. And then I saw it later as an adult, and it still was creepy.
It is.
It's totally creepy.
So far, The Shining, The Omen, and The Exorcist have been 3 of the movies
Oh,
that most people shouldn't have seen at a young age.
I never saw it as a kid. I don't even know if I've seen it as an adult. The Exorcist.
Yeah.
I mean.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I remember like my mom was a teacher, and I remember her telling me when The Exorcist came out that like she was teaching one day and a girl was in her class crying, and she asked her why she was crying, and she said because she had seen The Exorcist and now she was afraid.
Oh God. Yeah.
So it was like, yeah, no, I didn't see that one. But
movies definitely have an effect on people.
Yeah, I feel like I saw a lot of stuff as a young kid that I shouldn't have seen in many areas.
It seems like parents were more lax back. You know, like when we were growing up than they are now. Like
definitely.
Yeah, like I remember. Yeah, just go ahead and watch it. You'll learn.
Yeah, like my friends' kids are very. I mean, my friends are very. I feel like they're very like conscientious about what their kids watch.
Yeah.
And, like. It's like the whole thing about like when you're a kid, we used to be able to run out in the middle of the street, like run around the streets at night, and now parents don't let their kids do that.
I know. Lock the door because you never know.
Exactly.
But thank you, Celine.
All right, thanks, Brian.
All right, here. It took a lot to get Irma to be interviewed, but she's a fan of the show. She's a fan of the podcast, and she's here to discuss her favorite horror movie. So how are you doing?
Good, and you?
Good. I'm glad to have you, finally. Okay, so first, let's not do first. Let's do favorite horror movie. What is your favorite horror movie?
My favorite one?
Yes.
I wouldn't say favorite one, but the recent one that I watched was The Forest.
Okay.
And it was a pretty scary movie. It was about a twin that lost her twin in a Japanese forest.
Okay.
And she knew that her twin was alive, and everyone were thinking that she was dead. And the forest was a kind of like a magical forest with some spirits that were talking and whispering in her ear. It was pretty scary.
So how did you hear about the movie? Did you see it in the theater or did you rent it?
No, I was in my couch.
Okay. So you're screaming, yeah.
On demand. And I found that one, The Forest, and I love scary movies.
Oh, you do?
Yeah.
Okay. So you're not like Danielle, who's watching a scary movie every day for the whole month.
You know, I wouldn't criticize her because I was watching this serial killer TV show. What's the name? I forgot.
Oh, yes, I know what you're talking about.
In my maternity leave, I was watching the entire episodes.
It's a person's name, isn't it? Like it's a. Let's look it up. Let's do what Amanda used to do. She does research. Oh, what was it called? It's not Chuck, is it?
Dexter.
Dexter, yes.
Yeah.
I knew it was a person thing. We'll edit all this out.
I wouldn't criticize her because I was watching Dexter during my maternity leave, one after the other, one entire day. So I watched entire season one day.
Most people watch something calm on their maternity. You're watching Dexter. Good to know.
Nice. So yes, I like horror movies.
Okay, so what was the movie you saw as a child? Or a scene that you remember as a child that totally freaked you out, that you probably shouldn't have watched at a young age?
You know what? The Exorcist was one.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, but at one point, it scared me. Well, at one point, I just started laughing because I knew that wasn't real.
Sure.
I never saw somebody in my town having an exorcist. I still don't believe on
Yeah.
that. So at one point I just started laughing, like after being scared like for 2 nights after. I was like, that's not real.
That's ridiculous, yeah.
But I remember one TV show that the name in Spanish was La Dimensión Desconocida, and in English I think the name in English is the
Twilight Zone?
Twilight Zone.
There you go. Yeah.
The Twilight Zone. And I remember very well, I don't know how old I was, but I remember very well the episode that was about a kid that couldn't check under his bed because under his bed was a kind of monster or something that took him away from his family.
Yeah.
And he was asking all the time to the monster ask him or whisper him in the ear like, don't go out of your bed, don't sleep in your friend's house, don't have sleeping overs because I'm gonna take you out of your house. And the guy was really, really scared. So all the time before going to bed I was checking under my bed.
Oh no.
Some mornings my mom just found me sleeping on the ground because I was still checking on the bed. So it was kind of like disturbing at that age.
How long did you do that? Was that weeks you were checking on your bed or years?
I cannot remember very well, but it was for a while because I still can remember that I was doing that.
Okay, so do not show this episode to your son.
No,
okay, you know,
all.
yeah.
No,
Okay.
at all. I don't know. Now we have more controls as a parent, but at that point I had the TV in my room. I was watching that. I also was sleeping with my older sister.
Yeah.
So, hey, no filter there.
It's true. As I found out through interviewing everyone, our parents seem to let us watch a lot more than parents nowadays do.
Or they realized that we were going to keep that TV off. You
Probably,
know, at
yeah.
that point in the morning we were just turning on
That's
that.
right. Yeah.
And I remember after 12 a.m. in my country, the TV went down, and we have like a shh sound.
Oh,
So
yeah.
I remember waking up with that shh sound on the TV. I don't know if the static sound.
So as everyone knows, you're from Venezuela.
Yes.
Yeah. So yeah, no, the same thing here. They would, it would basically, I forgot what they call it. It was like a test pilot. They would call it. So it would just go to basically tone, as you were saying, or static. Yeah.
The static sound, and then I was waking up after that episode,
Exactly.
totally scared, like what?
That's great. Well, thank you, Irma.
Thank you, Ryan. That was nice.
All right, we're back with Stephanie, and Stephanie had a great story before in the first podcast about her first movie-going experience. So now she's going to riff-tastic about her scariest movie moment. So off you go. You won't hear me now for another 5 minutes.
Yeah, so I saw Jaws in the formative years, and it was the worst thing I think my parents could have ever done for me. I loved the water. I loved going to the beach. It was my favorite thing. I remember my brother and I, we were so jealous. We wanted a boogie board. They were too expensive. We were collecting pennies. We were rolling pennies to get a boogie board. Once we got one, oh my gosh, it was like the best thing in the world. We would be in the water all day long. I loved the ocean. I loved going far out. We were strong swimmers. It was amazing. And then I saw Jaws, and everything ended. That movie messed me up for years. I mean, I could no longer tolerate being in water where you couldn't see the bottom. There was just this constant fear. And that scene where she's swimming at night.
Mm-hmm. The very beginning.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. And she gets pulled under. Oh, still to this day, I get hives.
So after seeing the first Jaws, did you even bother trying to see the second one? Or
no, we saw all of them. And, you know, because I'm an LA kid, I grew up in LA.
Sure.
You know, we would go to Universal Studios a lot.
Oh, yeah.
You know, we had a lot of friends and family that worked there. We'd always get free tickets. We could always go in the back. And you always took the tour back then. Now, when you go to Universal Studios, there's so much to do. A lot of people don't even go on the tour anymore.
Yeah.
It's like not worth it because of all the other stuff. But then there was some stuff. But really, the highlight of the whole day was the tour.
Yeah.
And so you'd go every single time. And every single time, you know, Jaws comes up as you're, you know, first you're in the 10 Commandments and you're Moses, right? And I always would freak out. I knew exactly what was going to happen. Yeah. And still, I would make sure I was on the other side of the tram. There's always this big deal where, because, you know, I still, even though I knew Jaws was a mechanical, a mechanical thing, like there was a part of me that still believed he was real and he was going to eat me. I have not gotten over it. And it's a bummer because, you know, now I live
1
mile from the beach.
Yeah.
And we go all the time, and we have a little more money, so everybody has a boogie board now, and we all have wetsuits. And I can only go about waist deep.
And that's it.
And even then, I just start to freak out, and you can just hear it in the back of your head. And my dad, he won't even go in the water anymore.
Really?
Yeah. He saw the Jawses. Even he was a grown man.
Yeah.
He saw the Jawses, and still he won't go in.
Now, have the kids seen Jaws yet?
No, they haven't. And if I can, I'm going to do everything in my power to make sure they never see it. Because they love the water so much, and there's no point in traumatizing them like that. There's a new movie out too that people, it's Blake Lively.
Yes, she's on a rock, and she basically gets a shark attack, and then
and she's like on this rock like the whole movie. I haven't seen it. I've just heard about it.
Yeah, exactly.
No, this is the worst possible movie for kids. Why do they do this to us? Like obesity in children. We all need to exercise. We need to get out into the wilderness, and you're going to make a movie about a shark in the water. This doesn't help us. Yeah, all the Jawses. And then when it got personal, that's the other thing that was big, right? Yeah. This idea that it could be personal.
Sure.
That the shark knew and was after him and his family.
Roy Scheider, yeah.
Oh.
Well, even a bigger atrocity was Jaws 3 because it was in 3D.
Yes.
And I think the kids can watch that one because they'll just turn it off after 10 minutes anyway because it's so bad. But yeah, because Roy Scheider wasn't even in that one. It was Dennis Quaid and Lou Gossett Jr. It was at a water park.
You're extraordinary, the stuff you remember.
I own it, too. So that's how bad this is. So,
because I remember 1 and 2 really vividly, but 3 I don't remember at all.
I'll bring it in. We'll watch it.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
And Jaws 4, forget it. He's back, but actually, is Roy Scheider even in it? They might have killed him off in that one. It's just the wife.
Wow.
And the son tries to take over to get Jaws. Like, he's hell-bent on catching up.
Oh, my gosh. Yeah, the shark changes, right? I was reading how the shark gets, as, sort of movie magic improves, the shark gets more and more sort of abilities.
Yeah, abilities, yes. He's like Iron Man. So, great. Thank you, Steph.
Yeah, thanks, Brian.
Okay, so we're going to do another roundtable discussion. So we have Malin again.
Hello.
And my other brother, Brian P.
Hey.
So what we're going to do this time, we're going to talk about favorite horror movies. And who wants to start?
I'll start.
Okay. So Brian, what's your favorite horror movie?
My favorite horror movie, and it's a narrow pool because I don't really like horror movies, but my favorite is The Exorcist because it just scares the bejesus out of me.
So how old do you think you were when you first saw The Exorcist?
Oh, I was well into my adulthood.
Oh,
it wasn't like I saw this when I was a kid. I was aware of it because I remember seeing it being on the midnight movie of the week or something like that, but I would never watch it. It just looked too creepy. And then I finally got around to checking it out.
So what was the scene or scenes that really scared you the most?
Pretty much anything once Linda Blair becomes possessed. All of that imagery. There's some shots of her where she's possessed and you see her eyes and she's just kind of like this evil but blank stare.
Yeah.
It's just really creepy, and that kind of imagery lasts for a while after I watch the movie.
So it's interesting about Linda Blair because God, can you name anything else she's been in? She's been in tons of different things.
Exorcist 2.
Which I haven't seen.
That counts. That definitely counts.
All right, well, there you go.
So
that's a career.
Actually, I'll go to Malin next. So what's your favorite scary movie, horror movie?
So this one is a diabolically difficult question for me because I love horror movies. And to narrow it down to just one or two is nearly impossible. So I started thinking about the earliest ones that I saw, whether or not they scared me. So the earliest ones that I saw were on TV. So there was Saturday morning cartoons, and I'd be like, Saturday morning cartoons, yes! And then right after that, the Channel 26 in the Valley where I was growing up, they would have this thing called Saturday matinees, and it was like a movie. They'd have it at 10 and 12, and usually at 12, there's a really, really good chance it was going to be a horror movie. Mm-hmm. And I would look forward to those. And that's how I got introduced to the Universal Studios movie monsters, the Hammer Studios gothic horror films, and I think even Alfred Hitchcock to a certain extent, but less so. I think that was probably too highbrow. But yeah, when I was a really, really little kid.
Yeah.
Like Creature from the Black Lagoon.
The original,
That scared the heck out of me.
Yeah.
Like, it could be anywhere.
Yeah.
You know, like POV shots. I mean, they've been used ubiquitously since then and maybe even before then. But, yeah, they used to creep me out, like going up camping in a lake.
Right.
Creature of the Black Lagoon is it. I wasn't even thinking about Jaws. I hadn't seen Jaws. Even though it was released on my birth date, I didn't see Jaws until years and years later. But Creature of the Black Lagoon used to...
Well, fun part about Creature is I think the sequel, I think it's Return to the Creature. Clint Eastwood's in it. I think that's his first film, and he absolutely disavows. Like, he won't talk about it. So yeah, I think that's good. But yeah,
was he the heroine in distress?
No, he was a scientist. Yeah,
that's too bad.
Yeah, what were you gonna go? Those movies, that one and The Mummy, like they did so many sequels to them. It's all the same plot. Like, why are you going back to the same tune that The Mummy's in to release him, and he's just slowly sauntering to kill everyone? Same thing with the Creature. I mean, why do you keep going to the place where the creature is? He's just gonna.
Yeah.
He just wants to swim. What's
exactly.
Okay, so Brian, what is the movie that you saw as a kid that you probably shouldn't have watched that just scared the bejesus out of you, or just a scene if you remember too?
Well, Malin mentioned Jaws. I think that was probably the first kind of scary movie that I saw. And I don't know if it was age inappropriate, but it was scary. And it was a lasting thing for a while where I would, look very cautiously before I stepped into the ocean.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think Jaws. And even though it was really cheesy, the tram ride at Universal Studios where they have the Jaws, animatronic thing come out of the water, that even kind of scared me for the first time I went. So.
Did you ever see Jaws 3D?
No,
that's
the
worst movie ever.
Yeah, I think I might have seen the end. I don't know. Was that the one that was
Dennis Quaid
a dream or something? One of them was a dream at the end. Sorry to spoil it.
It
was really bad. But
I don't think it's a dream, but it's definitely 80s 3D, so it was bad.
Yeah.
And there were purpose shots where there's literally that the only reason this is in the film is so that it can come out of the screen for that. But they, it's bad. It's bad.
There's one of those 3D purpose shots.
Yeah.
Louis Gossett Jr. is in the film.
Yes.
And in his death scene, he gets chewed on. And then the shark comes back, mouth open, with Louis Gossett Jr. hanging out underwater, kind of like with his arm flailing. It's horrible. Horrible.
Speaking of horror movies, so I guess the original House of Wax with Vincent Price was 3D. And they in the beginning when the guys was basically doing the
yo-yo.
Exactly, yo-yo and the that's all that is. It's just prop shots for
But who cares? Vincent Price was in it.
Oh, it's still a good movie. I mean, it still holds up.
Well, even those Hammer movies. I mean, I think I've only seen the one Horror of Dracula, but I mean, it's not scary to me now. But I think it had like a good creep factor, and anything with Christopher Lee is kind of something.
And Peter Cushing. And what's nice about Hammer is really the first of those old school Dracula Frankenstein that have blood in it, like color blood, that you can see. So,
although I don't know if it's because of the film aging, or if it was just the special effects, but some of those films, the blood looks distinctly orange.
Yeah.
And I've asked some horror historians about that, and I haven't been able to get an answer about why it looks now like distinctly not bloody, but more kind of orange smoothie-ish. Especially I think there's a scene, is it maybe the Satanic Rites of Dracula at the very, very beginning where there's a lot of blood.
Yeah.
And it just doesn't look red. I haven't been able to find a copy where it looks red.
So Malin, what was the movie that you saw as a kid that just totally freaked you out? Or a scene that just totally freaked you out?
So the interesting thing about Hammer, I was in love with Hammer as a kid. But it never creeped me out because it was so slow. Now you say The Mummy was slow.
Yeah.
Hammer films develop so slowly.
They did, yes.
So I ended up just falling in love with Christopher Lee, Vincent Price, and Peter Cushing. I want to grow up to be Peter Cushing. That would be amazing. But the thing I saw too early, so there's three, and I don't know. One would be Jaws, obviously, because when I finally did get around to seeing it, getting into the swimming pool in our backyard became a complete ordeal, especially if I was alone and if it was getting late in the day. Another one was The Shining, which, again, it's I saw it on TV, but I wasn't supposed to. So I'd sneak up, kind of wake up, get out of bed, and open up the bedroom door and kind of try and peek out to see over my parents' heads to see if I could actually see the screen. And I only ever saw enough of it to kind of creep me out. The other one that I probably saw too early, my babysitters showed me Alligator, which so I wasn't watching a lot of really good horror movies. I haven't talked.
What is good
ones
horror?
yet.
I mean, that's
there are good ones. There are good ones. So
That'll be the next one,
Alligator,
good horror movie.
So Alligator, it's a terrible, terrible movie, but it has a lot of really good, scary scenes in the sewer. Again, you never know where the alligator is, but there's this one scene that scarred me. I was already scared of the swimming pool because of Jaws. Right. And there is a scene in Alligator that just takes that fear up to 11.
Yeah.
With a kid, I think there's a party and there's a kid in the swimming pool and you just see the alligator go through and swallow him whole. Smooth swallow, no chewing. Horrifying. Horrifying. So yeah, after that,
just a light
being
snack.
in the, yeah, exactly. So that after that, being in a pool at night with the lights on, basically exactly the way that scene was shot, totally creepy. It's to this day, I would probably have difficulty being in a
the 70s had like those alligator tarantula frogs, like weird, just
the creature features.
Yeah. Well, that and like the Catholic related horror.
Always,
The Exorcist and the what was it, Rosemary's Baby? Was that 70s? I don't know, or maybe late 60s.
Yeah.
But Rosemary's Baby, that's a good horror movie.
Yeah, that's classic. Yeah,
that's good with Ruth Gordon.
Yeah,
anything with Ruth Gordon
is good. Well, we can talk about Harold and Maude.
Yeah,
that'll be a second one.
What was it? Whatever. She was a Psycho Biddy.
Mm-hmm.
She was in a Psycho Biddy film. I can't remember the name.
Yeah, she's great.
The one where the woman is burying all of her caretakers in her garden.
Yeah,
taking her. Well, anyway.
So, do you guys still enjoy horror, or okay? So, what's the last horror movie you saw?
I graduated to become a proud gorehound.
Okay.
Yeah. The last one I saw, I have no idea. But
the last really good one that's memorable, like a more recent horror film.
I'd probably Pan's Labyrinth, if you can count that as horror. I think that was kind of a pitch perfect fantasy horror film.
Yeah,
depending on how you take the ending, it's either a true horror film or a true fantasy film, and I go the horror route.
Yeah.
Okay.
And how about you?
I would call it a horror. Yeah. For me, I think it was Cabin in the Woods, which was like a comedy horror, but it was, I don't know. Horror's not really my thing, but I like the kind of the subversion of any kind of genre movie. So any kind of zombie, like Shaun of the Dead kind of thing that makes fun of the genre, then that.
So did you guys like Scream, like the original Scream when it came out?
Yeah, the original Scream is pretty good. Yeah.
Yeah, I was I feel bad looking back at it. I was a sucker for the first Scream and the first Saw, and then more of them came out, and I was like, oh man, I got taken for a ride.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, those are great interviews. I love talking to everyone about this. So a few people that wanted to be interviewed, but they couldn't be interviewed for logistical purposes. First, we have Maria Laura. So she tells me about her first, or a movie that really freaked her out. It was The Exorcist, and so she was 15 years old. She had serious troubles trying to go to sleep for almost a week after watching it. Called it a really strong movie, but she would never watch it again. All right, the next one is Damon, who is up in Portland. He didn't think it was... He doesn't consider it actually scary, but the creepiest movie he actually saw, and it still creeps him out to this day, is The Bad Seed. There's something about Rhoda asking, what will you give me for a basket of kisses, that just makes his skin crawl. So he considers the evilest little girl ever. So thank you, Damon. And then last is my good friend Alen from San Francisco. And her two picks are Gremlins and Jaws. According to her, she used to put her hamster on the floor so the shark would eat it first. Wow, I don't think I'd want to be in an emergency situation with Alen. I don't know. Gremlins was always kind of disguised as a cute, funny movie, but then it ended up turning out to be really crazy and creepy. Yeah, just wasn't Gizmo being cute. Anyway, hope you had fun listening to all these great stories. Check us out next week. We'll have another great topic based around movies. all the good places you can see us now. We are on iTunes, so download us on iTunes. Rate us, leave a review. The more reviews we have, the more ratings we have, the more people that can find us and listen to us. We're also on Podbean, so you can go there at damngoodmoviememories.podbean.com. You can also find us on Facebook. We have our own Facebook page for Damn Good Movie Memories, and then we also have a YouTube channel specifically for this podcast. All right, until next week, enjoy my favorite scenes from the 1931 version of Dracula.
I am Dracula. It's really good to see you. I don't know what happened to the driver and my luggage, and with all this, I thought I was in the wrong place. I bid you welcome. Listen to them. Children of the night. What music they make. The spider spinning his web for the unwary fly. The blood is the life, Mr. Red.